Alright, the faded one of Unparalleled is here, so let's begin. But first, there's a card of the day. The quick start deck support card that hasn't been revealed, which is Conspiracizing Hunter Servant, which is a grade 3 with power, and the skill is auto when placed from rear guard from drop zone. If your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Cristanios, this unit gets a 10k power in the turn. If you do, retire this unit at the end of the turn. But the second skill is auto rear guard once per turn. When this card attacks, cost soul blast 1, choose one of your Vanguards, it gets plus 5k power in the end of the turn. And if your Vanguard is stood and you soul blast a grade 3 Cristanios for the cost, stand this unit at the end of battle. Basically, for the Cristanios deck, it gives it multi-attack during the Persona Ride turn basically, but I'm just wondering why they decide to reveal this in the game fight rather than with the other start deck support cards. It's just weird that they decided to put this individually. And into the Unparalleled Varga Dragres ride line, here's the starter, Heated Blade Arc Dart. And into the grade 1 with key power, which is basically a clone to the Raziel one, Blaze Bar Dragon, which has the skill of auto when rode upon by Boulder Axe Dragon. The grade 2, call this to rearguard and then soul charge 1 with the same second skill of count rearguard during your turn. You have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Varga plus 2k, replaces itself from soul and also being a 10k attacker or booster, but it's just weird that they decided to copy and paste, but whatever. In which we go to the grade 2 with 10k power to Boulder Axe Dragon, which has the skill of auto when rode upon by the grade 3 Varga, call this to rearguard. And then the second skill where when this card attacks the Vanguard, you have a grade 3 or greater Varga. This unit gets a 5k power to the end of that battle, and then retire this unit at the end of that battle and draw a card. The ability is mandatory. This is actually very helpful for the deck because not only that it could be a 15k beater on its own or 25k during Persona Ride, but it clears itself out of the board and gives you a resource on top of it, which is going to be helpful for the Unparalleled deck because Varga kills everything in the front row regardless if it's friend or foe. So clearing itself from the front row is just going to be helpful so you don't lose anything. In which we go to the grade 3 with 13 power, the faded one of Unparalleled Varga Dragres, which has the first skill of auto Vanguard. Once per turn, when this card attacks the Vanguard, cost counter blast 1, retire all front row rear guards, and this card gets was 10k power at the end of turn. At the end of the battle, stand this unit, drive -2. And keep in mind, if you restand this with the OT, it's gonna bypass the restand of Varga, so it might not be the best to run the OT because that restand is actually part of its skill. But basically, it's just two big Vanguard attacks, one being driveless, and nuking the whole entire front row can be a really weird timing sometimes because you're obviously going to be using your rear guards to attack first depending on what rear guards you have, giving your opponent time to basically intercept before they get retired, but that extra restand attack can be quite powerful, especially when you add its second skill, which is Divine Skill, Auto Vanguard. At the end of battle, that it attacks a grade 3 or greater unit if your opponent's damage zone has 4 or more cards, and this card did at least 2 or more attacks during the turn, cost counter blast 1, stand this unit, drive +2 in the end of that turn. So basically, this Divine Skill enables it to have a third attack with actual drive checks. Of course, it feels like Overlord all over again, but 3 attacks with the Vanguard is no joke, especially if the third one has drive checks as well. Overall, it's a pretty interesting card, especially the concept of needing to think about your own front row rear guards, but overall not too bad. And now to the support. Our first card is Abductory Glaive Dragon, which is a grade 3 with turn power and the skill. Count front row rear guard during your turn. If you do not have another front row rear guard with the same card name as this unit, this card gets plus 10k power and cannot be retired by card abilities, which could be nice with Varga because Varga nukes the whole front row, so this being immune to it is just very helpful. But the second skill is that count rear guard. If you have a grade 3 or greater Varga, this unit gets boost, so it becomes a 13k booster, which is going to be very powerful, and that immune to retire part is really good just because, well, you don't lose stuff with Varga. Next, Impale Horn Dragon, which is grade 1 and keep power in the skills. Count rear guard during the battle. This unit boosts if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Varga, plus 5k, 13k attacker or booster, but more likely it could be boosting the Vanguard thanks to its second skill, auto rear guard. When this card boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard that is Varga, plus 2k in the end of battle, and then at the end of battle you can soul blast 1 to retire this unit, draw a card. Basically similar condition to the Raziel 15k booster, although the soul blast 1 to retire itself to draw is basic painkiller, but we have again DZ-BT01 that does something very similar as well without the extra soul blast costs. So it is up to personal preferences if you must have the extra power or not. Finally, Drag Raider Shura, which is a grade 2 when taking power on the skills. Auto rear guard. When this card attacks, cost energy blast 2. This unit gets plus 5k power in the end of battle, and then choose up to one of your rear guards with a different name from this unit, and it gets this ability. Auto, when this card is retired from rear guard, put it to the hand until the end of the turn. This is very nice because obviously with Varga, you want to basically get value from your getting retired rear guards. So this is just basically another way to get you some extra value for that card, especially with the second skill where auto, when this unit is retired by rearguard by the ability of your greater or greater Varga. If your opponent's Vanguard is greater or greater, cost counter +1, call this to rearguard and plus tanking power in a turn. So this card is just a must play for Varga. Not only that it gets value from being retired, you can give another rearguard value for being retired. And not only that, this is basically your multi-attack engine because getting retired at battle, you can basically just call this again with an extra power buff. And basically since it's the middle of battle, you're getting more attacks out of it. So overall, pretty good. So that's it for this Unparalleled Varga Dragres ride line. What do you guys think of it? Kind of interesting that it's a samurai dragon that basically kills everything in his path, including his own allies. But what I love about the deck is the support, where they get value from getting retired. And Varga itself, being a multi-attack Vanguard, is also kind of nice, reminding me of Overlord, especially that divine skill that can be a little scary at times on timing, but overall pretty good. But on that, that's it for this, and see y'all next time.